Welcome to Code Essentials. Today I want us to discuss if statements in JavaScript. And as you know, in every programming language, you can't miss to find these if-else statements. They are conditionals. So there may arise situations where you have to run a block of code among more than one alternatives. So for example, let's say you want to determine if someone is eligible for voting or not. In such situations, you can use JavaScript if-else statement to create a program that can make decisions. Now, in this video, we shall discuss 3 or 4 different ways you can use to write your conditions in using if statements, and later we shall discuss how you can also write switch statements in JavaScript. So for example, here we are going to start with the basic if statement, and then we can also talk about the if-else statement, and then we can also discuss if else then if statement. Then later on we shall look at the switch statement. Yeah. Now let us begin with the if statement. Basically, here is the syntax. So the syntax for if statement, you just have to write if, then the parentheses, then you put the curly brace, so the block or the body of the if statement. So here you're going to execute the condition. So here we execute the condition. If it executes true, then in here is where the code, now we write here our code for the if the condition executes true. Now here's an example. So if I want to determine if someone is eligible for voting, I say if the first thing I say let age, so I can say let age equal to, then I say 18, then I can type if age is greater than or equal to 18, then I can say console.log, then say you are eligible for voting, like that. So if this condition executes true, then this person will be eligible for voting if his age or her age is greater than or equal to 18. So if I open my terminal and then run node conditions.js, you can see it says you are eligible for voting because the condition executed as true. So the friend or the guy is above 18 years. Okay. Now the next one is the if else. So let's say if you want to execute another, if this fails, if the condition here executes as true, we want to tell the user something down here. Okay, so here is the if else statement. So I say if age is greater than or equal to 18, then I say console.log. I can copy the whole statement here. Then if that is not true, then we say else. Here we put the curly brace, then say console.log. you are ineligible for voting. Okay, so let's say maybe the age is below 18, then the person is ineligible for voting. So let's say maybe age is less than 18. If I try to run this, so it says your age, not this one, maybe I can comment this. So if the age is less than, then you can see it says you are ineligible for voting. So here we are determining if the person is allowed to vote or not. So here the age is 18. So if the age is below 18 years, then this person is ineligible for voting. Okay. Now the next one is the so if the condition executes true, then this one is the first condition, or the first code is within the if statement is executed. If the condition executes to false, then we move to the else statement as we have here in this code. Because the age is 18, so you're expecting if someone is eligible, then he must be 18 and above years. If the person is below, then this condition executes as false, and then the code inside the if statement will not be executed, so we jump to the else statement. Okay. Now the next one is or maybe we can look at another example. Let's say you prompt the user to enter a number. So here you can say, maybe let's say let number equal to, then you can prompt the user to enter the number. Then say prompt, then it says please enter number, enter the number, like that. Then down here we say if number is greater than 0, then you can say console.log the number is positive. So you can say the number is positive, else. So if the condition is executed as false, so then here we say else, then say console.log the number is negative. Okay, then you can also tell the user that the if statement has executed successfully. So down here you can say console.log the if condition has ended. Okay, if I run that, here it says prompt is not defined. So if you get this error, make sure that you type in npm install prompt-sync, then you click OK. So this is going to install the prompt sync before you can use prompt function. Make sure you install prompt sync. So I already installed that. What I'm going to do is I will come here in the first line, then type in const prompt equal to require equal to require, then you can say prompt sync, then here we can type sig int, then we say true, like this one. Okay, then save, then try to run the code. Okay, now you can see it executes successfully. So here, if you enter number, let's say 2, the number is positive. If you enter a number below 0, so let's say -2, then it says the number is negative and the if condition has ended. Okay, so this is how you can use the if else statement. Now the next one is the if else, the nested if else. Yeah, so the nested if else statement. So these are used inside if else. So you have the initial if else statement, but inside that we also have other if else statements. So that's why they are called nested if else statement. Okay, so let's say maybe you have say let, or maybe const number equal to prompt. So I think I can comment this code up here. Can comment this, also this one. So prompt, then you can prompt the user to enter the number. So enter the number. Then down here we say if the number is greater than or equal to 0, and also if the number is equal to 0, then we tell the user console.log that you have entered 0. So here we can say you have entered 0, else you entered a positive number, else then you say console.log you have entered a positive number. Okay, else, now the else statement for the general if statement. So else you entered a negative number. So here you can say else console.log, then we tell the user that you have entered a negative number. Okay, what this means is that if the condition executes true in the first place, then the code inside the if statement will execute just as we have done previously. So now if we move to the next if statement, if now the number is 0, it's not greater than 0, but the number entered is actually 0 itself, that means that the user has entered 0, else he has entered the positive number. Then we go out of the general loop if statement, then we tell him that you have entered a negative number. Okay, so let us see what we get. You know, the first thing, let us enter a number which is greater than 0. So let's say 4. You can see it says you have entered a positive number. So this one executes true, but the second if statement executes false because we have not entered 0. Now we move to the else statement, which executes as true because the number is greater than 0. Now it is a positive number. Else, if we enter 0, then you see we have entered 0. What if we enter a negative number like -2? You can see we get you have entered a negative number. So this one executes as false. So that means the code inside the if statement will not execute. So we have to move to the outside else statement. That's why we are getting this one. Okay. Now the next thing is the switch statement. So let's say you're having a lot of if else, if else, if else inside your code. You can just write an switch statement that will execute the code conditional just as the if else statements. Now down here I can say switch statement. Okay, so let's say let entered max equal to, then we prompt the user to enter the max. So here I type enter your max, like that. Then down here you can also have max, we can store the max. So I say let max equal to, we can say pass float equal to pass float. So we are going to convert if the user enters a number which is not an integer, let's say a floating number, we're going to convert this number to a numeric. So here we say entered max. Then you can also store the grade as undefined grade. So let grade. Okay, then now we write the switch statement, but before that we have to wrap this if statement inside. We have to wrap the switch statement inside the if statement. So I say if is not a number, so the max, if the max are not a numeric number, then we are going to execute the code. But now we want this code to execute, this condition to execute true. We want the max to be real numbers, not floating points. So we are going to put an exclamation mark to make to change this statement to be true and not false. Because if we say is not a number and we are going to input the number, then it means the statement will be false. But we want the statement to execute as true, so we have to put an exclamation mark before the is not a number. Okay, so now here we have to write our switch. So I say switch and we pass in the condition true. So if it executes true, that is what we want. Then we say case. If case, then we start giving the condition. So in the first case, max is greater than or equal to, let's say 90, like this. Then we assign the grade to be A. Okay, then we can break outside the loop, and then we move to the next one, to the next case, if it executes as false. So the next one is case if the max are greater than or equal to 80, then we say we assign the grade to, let's say B. Then we also break outside. The next case is if the marks are greater than or equal to 70, like this, then we assign the grade to be C. Then you also break. outside the code. Okay, then the next one is the next case, if marks are so 80, 70, 60 greater than 60, then we assign the grade to D. Okay, then you also break. Then the next one is I think we should also assign 50, yeah. So case marks greater than 50, then we assign the grade to, let's say, E, then you also break. Then you can also have default. So if the person scored below 50, that one means that the person failed. So we can say default, and here for default we can say grade. So here we just assign the grade. We don't have to assign the marks because we know already the person is below 50. So the grade is F, and we can also break. Now down here after the switch statement, we can have we can now console, say console.log, then we prompt the user to enter the marks. So enter the marks. If he enters the marks, then we take the marks. Then the next thing is the grade. So we tell him also the grade depending on the marks he entered. Okay, so remember we had the if statement. That means now we have to also execute the else statement. Let's say if now the number entered is, let's say, it's not a number, so it means we say console.log, and here we say dot invalid marks, then we tell him please enter a valid numeric number for marks. Okay, yeah. Now let us try to run this code. So enter number. I think it should turn to enter the marks. Enter your marks, not number. Yeah, I think now I can comment this. This one is confusing me here. So I can comment that code, and now remains with this one. I can clear this. Okay, now enter your marks. Let's say 89. You can see it executes true, so the condition here executes true. It is a number. First of all, we have to check if it is a number. So it is a number. Then the condition is that marks greater than 90 is assigns A. So this executed as false. So we end to the second case where marks are 89, which means they are greater than 80. That's why we are getting B as the grade. Okay, if I try to enter something like 40, we get an F, because the condition all other conditions executed as false. So what remained to be true was this one, the default. Now let us enter something that is not a numeric number. Let's say a string like read. You can see it says invalid marks, please enter a valid numeric number. Now what if we enter something like 50.9? You can see still we get the grade because this floating point is converted to numeric, and we get the grade as E. Okay, now this is all about the if statements and the switch cases in JavaScript. Hopefully you've understood this, and yeah, this is what I wanted to show you in JavaScript, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and also don't forget to subscribe to Code Essentials, because we shall be uploading these videos on JavaScript and maybe other programming languages as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.